we got the best, better gambler in the motherfucking business, Jeff Nadu. We need your college football picks. JB, come back, pull the schedule up. Let's go through it.
On this show last week, I think I hit every college football pick last week.
Every pick, homie?
I think I may have. I had Duke. I know that. I killed it last week in general. I killed it.
Oh, wow. Hey, well, everybody on here, y'all might want to follow Jeff right here, man. Make sure you go to winnable.com/slap-picks, because any pick we don't give here, we're going to give on winnable.com/slap-picks for the exclusive picks. Come make money with us. And make sure you use BetUS to place your money.
And shout out to my friends at BetUS. College basketball will be back very soon. I'll be on that show. BetUS, the best. I've been dealing with
BetUS. No, I wouldn't take the kid. I told you that. Let's dive into something real quick. I got to ask you guys. UNLV tonight, Boise State. The question is, Jeff, if Genty goes off for 200 yards on this UNLV team, are we handing him the Heisman?
Well, no. I mean, he'll be surely the favorite. He is the favorite right now. As I've just always said, you can't – there's a lot of people that have been the favorites over the years 7 or 8 weeks in. There's a lot of season to shake out. But, yeah, he would be the favorite. This is the last real test. I mean, there's not a lot of good defenses to go on the schedule. That said, here's what I would do, and if I'm Boise's coach, UNLV is one of the worst pass defenses in the country. I would throw the football tonight, and that could take away from Genty's workload.
If he ain't got no quarterback or wideout, that's the difference. That's why y'all don't get what he's doing is so fucking unbelievable. Well, the one-man band, and
that's what makes this such a big game. The UNLV's got a great run defense on the other side. I believe they're top 15 nationally. So this is a huge game. Yeah, I think he'd surely be the favorite to be, unless he gets injured. I think it'd be hard to not give it to him at this point. I'm just saying we have so much season to shake out. This is a super tough game. I'm blown away that UNLV's an underdog in this game. I mean, they're at home. I think they've looked really good. I think they surely have the better defense when it comes down to it. I like Hodge Williams. He's come in and played really well after the quarterback left the program. Yeah. This is a very tough game. I would have grabbed the under. It was 66. That was a little too high. It's down to 64, but I would lean UNLV plus 3.5. I think it's a close game. I didn't bet it. I really don't want to bet against Genty either. He has played well. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I will say also, I opened my eyes with him a little bit with that Washington State performance. I think Washington State's a pretty good football team. He ran all over them. We'll see how he does tonight. If he runs for 84 yards tonight, he's out, right? Let's say he runs for 85 yards, Smitty, and they lose. Yeah, he's out. So there's a small room for error.
That's why that to me tells me he's even greater than everyone thinks he is. Because when this guy's going to have a 100-yard game in college football, which is very fucking hard, everyone's going to say he's out. This guy's, because you're thinking he's going to run for 300. It's just not realistic. Right?
I know, but that's just the truth and what will happen. I'm curious at BetUS if they have a prop up on his rushing yards. I don't bet props really, but it's probably super high for a good reason. But I would have maybe an interest in an under if it's high enough. If it's like 190-ish, I think this would be his toughest game yet.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. I know one game that I'm excited about, man, as we dive into the Saturday lineup, and I'll pass it back to you, JB, is Navy Notre Dame. To me, it might be the game of the weekend. Obviously, Navy's undefeated. Notre Dame has been rolling after that loss against Northern Illinois in the MAC. What are you thinking here, Navy Notre Dame? What do you like here, Jeff?
Well, I would lean Notre Dame at this number. I think this is a very suckery bet to take Navy. I don't like playing the game of who teams have played. I think the thought, though, is neither of these teams have played anybody really worth talking about outside of maybe Louisville. But Navy's done what they've had to do. They're definitely a better overall offense, not just a rush offense. They don't make mistakes. They're very hard to play against because they're not going to turn the ball over. They're not going to give sacks up. They don't commit bad penalties. But Notre Dame is on another level to me defensively. From what Marcus Freeman said, and Coach, I'd be curious of your thoughts on this. He claims that since the offseason, they have been preparing for the Naval Academy, which, I find hard to believe. Maybe they are. as you know, the triple option is all about being in the right spacing and gaps and discipline there. Something tells me this will be a close game in the first half, and I think that Notre Dame will find a way to pull away. If this number was 17, I'd lean Navy, but it's only 13.5. I took the over personally. I think Navy can move the ball and get into the 20s, but I think Notre Dame will probably push 40 in this game. Navy's defense is bad. I mean, they have not played much of anybody, and their defense is pretty poor to begin with. I think Notre Dame will be able to run their offense effectively and probably push 40. I had it like 38-21. I took the over.
I like that. Jason?
Yeah, interesting. Prepping for an option, this is what I think he means. Every week in the fall and the summer, they probably prep how to defend certain things, like whether it was inside veer, split back veer, split veer, outside veer. They probably have implemented what to do, so it's in their brain. So when they get to this week, now they throw all those cards that they drew up back in the summer and fall in, and now they have their scout team run it and mimic it, so they have it. And then they have it on film as well, so they can show the film of them at practice defending it versus what Navy looks like on offense. That's what coaches do.
And the problem that I mean, that's good and all, but game is a lot different, and Navy's offense is much different than it normally is. This is interesting. They
throw the ball better than you think.
Well, and they've passed the ball 81 times, which is pretty high for them. Every attempt they make throwing the football, they gain 12 yards. That's a huge per average catch. So to me, I think they can move the ball. I don't really want to worry about can they keep this within 2 touchdowns. I either am going to take them to get blown out or be in it to win the game. Because that's what Notre Dame does, guys. Like, they always either blow you the fuck out or lose, right? Look at that Northern Illinois game. I like the over. I think both teams can move the ball.
Notre Dame has to continue winning after they got to go win out after that loss they suffered from Northern Illinois. So it's going to be interesting. They have to win. And I would love to see Army Navy stay undefeated and play each other possibly twice.
But even losing, if you're Army, like, it would suck, obviously. But Notre Dame losing to Notre Dame Notre Dame's a good football team. So
yeah, it is. Hey,
I will say, Indiana, Washington. Okay, the quarterback is out for Indiana, right?
Yep.
Indiana.
I thought he was getting the nod.
No, Rourke's out. He's out for at least a week. He's got a hand injury, I believe. As far as the game, though, Indiana's still really good. They still run the ball at a really high level. They're at home. Their defense is great. Washington's been kind of a mess away from home. I don't mind the backup either. He's actually decent. I'd still probably play Indiana in this spot. There's some big time games here. Good card tomorrow. A lot of interest on this one.
No doubt. Real quick, I got to ask you, because Washington beats Michigan and then it gets obliterated by fucking Iowa. I just didn't see that one. Illinois, Oregon. Very interesting right here because Illinois can spoil a lot of things. I know upset pick alert, I wouldn't say, but banging this Oregon team up for future games because Illinois seems to play very, very physical, as Michigan just found out. Can they bump and bruise Oregon enough to where they actually hurt their season going forward in the bigger picture of things?
So one of my favorite plays last week was Illinois against Michigan. That was a huge game for Illinois. From what I understand, they handpicked Michigan to be that 100th game. It was a huge game. They stormed the field. Now you got to get off the mat. You got to go across the country and face Oregon. It's just a really tough ask. You know about young players, coach. It's hard to get them to respond off that. They're off such a high. And Oregon's playing really well. They just waxed Purdue in a game they probably should have slowed down in and looked forward a little bit. The line's telling me Oregon, like they win like 35-10 or something. They're really good on both sides of the ball. And Illinois things can fall apart pretty quick. Remember, they were playing a team last week that literally could have pulled a quarterback out of the stands and he probably could have played better. That quarterback situation in Michigan is horrible. I mean, it got to be the worst in the country. And you look at that team. Where do you go now? Like, they're talking about, we got another kid we want to try out. What if he's no good? Like, they have 4 quarterbacks possibly that are all shitty. You know?
Yeah, Shaun Salisbury said that on our show last week.
Not recruiting.
Miami, Florida State's an interesting one.
Rivalry game.
Kansas State is a very interesting one. But the one I got to ask you about first before you address those two, LSU A&M, big game. A&M 6 in a row winners after the loss to Notre Dame. LSU 6 in a row after the loss to SC. Could those two first game losses could really fuck these two teams up, by the way, because SC's turned out to be horrible. Notre Dame, if they were to lose again after losing to Northern Illinois, makes LSU's schedule iffy. Where are you at with this game? Elko,
so I've said before, I've had a good season this season. I hate this LSU team, though, really. I hate them. I don't understand this team. I can't figure them out at all. I've been wrong every time I've played them. I kind of just avoid them at this point. A&M's obviously improved. They've got their quarterback finally back healthy. That said, I have a hard time going against LSU. They're just really solid right now. They have the better quarterback in this game. That said, they're on the road, coming off a couple of really nice wins, and A&M is kind of just sitting there waiting. I didn't have much in that game. Florida State, Miami, it is a rivalry until the game will start, and Miami will do what they normally do. They'll score 45. Florida State sucks. I mean, we have to stop just assuming that. But they're 1-6. They're not going to just get better. They have no quarterback. Their situation's almost as bad as Michigan's at quarterback. Miami scores 50 every week. This is going to get ugly, I think. Kansas State, I kind of like. I think this is a game for K-State where this is a rivalry. It's been a bad season for Kansas, but they still have 5 games left. They have 2 wins. I think they're going to view this game as a rivalry. They're going to get up for it. They're off of a really nice performance the last couple of weeks offensively, finally. I think they're going to be emboldened a little bit. I think if you can stop the run against K-State, you're going to hang in the game. 10 struck me as a bit high. I think if Kansas can bow their ears back and get some stops on the ground, I think they'll be right in this game. They're playing a lot better. You got to turn your stuff up for a rivalry game. 10 is too high. I took Kansas. I like them here.
Hey, SMU, who I've been high on. I've been telling everybody SMU, and you didn't really like them early on. They're going to,
well, I didn't know who their quarterback is. Now they've settled on one, and he's played very well.
Yeah, 6-1, and Duke. Manny Diaz 6-1 has Duke at 6-1. Very interesting matchup right here. Who do you like this game?
Yeah, a lot of people think Duke's a little fraudulent, though, just because of what they've done. They've really not played much of anybody. They're finally going up and stepping up. That said, this is a bit high to me. This is a double-digit spread. Duke's getting a lot of points. They're going to run the football. SMU super undervalued, JB. You were 100% right. They got a great defensive line. Their quarterback's really solid. They can really put it to you offensively. They did some damage to Florida State, as a lot of teams have done. It's a tough one. I actually like both these teams, so I had a hard time separating them. I'd probably still lean Duke just because of how they play. They're kind of built to get points and to stay in games. I like both defenses. I think the under is probably a pretty good bet here. I think both these teams are solid on the defensive end. Under, 49? I thought this was like a 24-17, 27-21 type of game.
Any shocker, any repeat of shocking the world, Vandy, Texas?
But how at this point can you bet against Vanderbilt? I mean, Texas had a lot of issues in that game against Georgia. Let's not forget they benched their quarterback, by the way. Their offensive line was getting beat off the fucking ball a lot. They didn't look good. And now you got to go on the road to a place against a team who's already pulled one big upset and almost beat Mizzou as well. That's a pretty good defensive line at Vandy. They have the offense that's able to stay in games because they hold the football. They've got a quality quarterback. They move the chains. I could see Texas kind of bouncing back, but it's a hard team to do it against. Vandy is the type of team you want getting a bunch of points because they hold on to the ball, a lot of possession. They're kind of like Army a little bit. They hold on to the ball, and it's hard to get 3 touchdown leads on them.
Only thing I'm going to say to that, though, that makes me a little concerned for all the Vandy fans that they just had a physical, hard-fought game against Ball State last week, and it's kind of similar to the NFL when teams play the Detroit Lions the following week, they usually lose. I don't have the exact stat for Ball State, but just watching that game and seeing it was tied up in the fourth, Ball State was about to upset them. and they pulled out a close one, they may be a little exhausted, a little tired, a little banged up going against a Texas team.
Well, I would chalk that up to simply just looking ahead, probably. Listen, no offense, but Ball State's the 4th worst defense in America. I get what you're saying. No, I think you're probably just looking ahead a little bit. I think that's always an issue. I am hard pressed though to go against Vandy in these spots. They've answered the call a few times.